Hi, welcome to everyone's favourite segment, Mailbag, where anyone, including companies and individuals, can send stuff in and we take a look at it. Here's the address if you want to send something in, and remember to put EEVblog Mailbag on it, otherwise I open it prematurely, and you don't want a premature mailbag opening, let me tell you. Anyway, thank you very much to somebody in Glenbrook, which is up in the mountains here in Sydney. Well, Blue Mountains is different to Sydney. So there you go. Anyway, let's have a squiz. Thank you very much. Maverick. No, I didn't know I didn't know this existed. Forrest and Mims. Is this his biography? To be a scientist, you just have to do science. Awesome. Forrest Mims. Oh, wow. And it's from fellow YouTuber JJ, or In the Lab with JJ. I'll link in his channel down below. And he's done really extensive. There's a reason why he says don't go through the whole book, because, well, he does goes through some excellent book things, like page by page. I don't do that here on the EEVblog, but wow, this is great. I just opened it and straight to MITS here. Wow. Oh, we've got some colour photos and everything. I'll show you a brief thing. Anyway, if you don't know who Forrest M. Mims III is, I guess you're, well, a young whippersnapper. So yes, Forrest M. Mims III, famous as a citizen scientist, probably one of the world's most famous citizen scientists, but those in our industry will know him from the Forrest M's mini notebooks way back in the 70s and 80s. So there he is. He's still going. Fantastic. We've had Forrest on the Amp Hour, so I'll link in that, but that was like 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe now. But yeah, he's been on the Amp Hour. So if you want to hear myself and Chris talking to Forrest, then please do so, because he's famous for all his hand-drawn mini notebooks, which looked like this. So, you know, absolutely fantastic. So what have we got here? So this was actually copyright 2023. So it was released last year by the Make community. There you go. Fantastic. So, table of contents. We're talking Mims versus Bell Labs, how he used to work in the Air Force Weapons Lab, and MITS as well. Of course, the famous Altair computer for MITS. But MITS started out doing kits and things, and then going through all sorts of stuff that he's been involved in. So, oh my God, I'm going to love this. I'm going to love it. Here he is working on some rocketry stuff. So, yeah, oh my goodness. Yep, I'm going to have a fun time reading the Atari Punk console. Ooh, I'm just going to randomly flick in through the laser safety guy, the laser surgeon. Talking about TI stuff and talking about MITS, of course. So, oh yeah, remembering Paul Allen, remembering Ed Roberts, of course. Oh, yes, please. And of course, if you don't have a copy, I highly recommend you don't know if you can buy them new, but the Forrest M's mini notebooks, one of the classics that I had when I was a kid learning electronics. So yeah, anyway, I'll link in this book below, Maverick Scientist. Oh, nice hardcover too. Beautiful. Thanks for all the fish, Forrest. Hi to all my viewers in the United States of America, from Jolton in Tennessee. Let's open this sucker up and see what we've got. I don't know what that is. Some sort of sensory thing? I don't know. Oh yes, it's from Unmanaged 615, who is a huge contributor to the Amp Hour. If you don't know the Amp Hour, I've only been doing a radio show for like 13 years or something, theamphour.com with Chris Gamble, of course, and he updates, adds stuff to the Reddit, because there's a Reddit where you can put show suggestions for stuff for us to talk about on the podcast. So Unmanaged 615, thank you very much. And what do we got here? Is that a panel meter? It's a panel meter thing. Oh, it's Simpson DC volt panel meter. Wow. Okay, let's do a quick 2-minute teardown. Maybe we can power it up. Maybe it still works. Wow, I didn't know Simpson did panel meters. That's interesting. So what have we got here? There's no note, so I'm not sure what Unmanaged has sent here. Looks like it's, yeah, that's what I thought, like piezoelectric thing made in the United States of America. I would think it's some sort of like piezoelectric sensor that, I don't know, you put it inside some case and it can detect airflow or something, and you can detect the deflection of it, perhaps, or something. Patent pending. Piezoelectric product. That's it. That's all we know. So it's interesting that there's 3 wires on this, but I'm going to hook a meter up to the 2 purple ones, and if we give that a flick, sure enough, check it out. We can actually get quite a voltage range like that. That's neat, huh? So what sort of maximum do we go? Oh, I saw 24 volts briefly there. So, yeah, 21. Minus 14. Okay, so there you go. But, of course, if we just bend it and then you don't move it, it's going to go back down to 0. So, of course, we're only going to get a movement like that. But you can see the fast movement of that. Yeah, so it's some sort of sensor. If you know, leave it in the comments down below. I can assume like it's mounted in something and something blows across it, some wind or air or gas or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, piezoelectric air movement sensory thingo. There you go. There's a teardown inside it, and well, these seem to be like glued in there. I can't get them out, but basically only this top half moves here. So it's some sort of like maybe a piezo ceramic, feels like a piezo ceramic structure, because I have some experience with piezo ceramics back in my seismic days. And yeah, so with the 2 purple wires there, I was measuring basically both in series there. So the center tap is the red one there. And yeah, you're basically just measuring a piezo ceramic capacitor, which is basically what it is. So just measure that there. Oh, yes, I can hear it vibrate. I can hear it sing. This is the singing capacitor phenomenon. Anyway, 34 nanofarads. Okay, I'll see if you can hear this. I can feel it, and I can hear the buzz. Not sure if I'm going to be able to amplify that. Cool, huh? Anyway, if you can't, trust me, that is actually vibrating, and yeah, that's a thing. These are what we used to call them singing. It was the singing capacitor phenomenon. In the seismic industry, we actually used to call our ceramic hydrophones benders, because they're basically a ceramic capacitor base like this, and very, very similar to this, but we'd encapsulate them in an epoxy potting compound so that they were waterproof. And yes, we used to have a specific model of capacitance meter that would output a higher voltage than normal ones, and you could actually make them sing, and that's how you'd actually test them in production, that they were physically connected or not. So I just thought, could that actually be a reverse thing? Could you actually apply signal to that and then it would actually disturb, you know, the air that passes over it rather than sense it? I don't know. It could work both ways. Model 2850 2-volt range, comes in all different types, current and voltage as well. 120 volts AC, so yeah, got to power it up from the mains. Hoping I could just power it up from a PSU, but yeah, card edge, jobby, so it slides into, you know, something, and I think I can see 3.5 digit in there. See if it still works. And we're talking 1976 vintage. Check that out. Fantastic. Aha! Look at the discrete trannies down there. Look at them. Look at them. Little tripods. Woo! Very nice. Beautiful. Oh, you don't see construction like that anymore. When I was a boy. So we've got mains in here, but check this out. Like, I would have thought, oh, yeah, here and here. Hook up the mains. But that trace goes through there, and it's connected onto the gate. It's like inside one of the laminates there. What? What? So I assume that's an earth. And then, of course, one goes in here through a fuse over to here. But there's a couple of more mains wiring. So it must be this one and the other one on the other side. And that goes over to here. And so this is the primary side. This is the secondary side. And they've got a tap off here, like going to one pin. There's like a shorted, is that like a shorted turn, or is that some sort of voltage? Oh, that might be voltage selection perhaps. Let's have a look at the displays on this thing. Can we get a manufacturer and part number there? That looks interesting. Wow. I don't think I've seen one of those before. It's got dual digit, and one's a half digit with the plus minus. But wow, that's neat. What is that display? I need a part number on that. Oh, look, we can take it out. Is that like that's socketed? In fact, I don't know those numbers there, but are they 7-segment decoders? No, 4-layer boards back then. They just ribbon cable routed that bus all the way over. There you go. So that's obviously like the 7-segment input. So this looks like it could be the decoder perhaps. And then you've got sync transistors for each segment in there, plus the decimal points. Ooh, here you go. Could be taken on FranLab here for unusual displays. There's a little nipple on it, which seals the glass. So it's some sort of vacuumy type fluorescent-y display. So this is a Beckman SP351. It's called a Panaplex display, and it looks a gorgeous orange. I've seen a photo of it lit up. Yeah, FranLab, eat your heart out. I wonder if it still works. And that's a matching Beckman socket too. Wow. And yeah, this one's a different part number because it is physically a different part. It's got two 7-segment displays instead of the 1.5 digit on the other one, but very nice. Okay, one weird ass Yankee plug and 263 primary. That sounds okie dokie. Let's do a smoke test. Okay, let's see if this powers up. Here we go. Let's switch this on. Switch the mains on. Fingers crossed. Oh, yes, look at that. Oh, beautiful. Look. Oh, that display is gorgeous. Look at that orange. Oh, beautiful. I'll turn the lights off. Oh, look at that gorgeous glow. Wow. Beautiful. There you go, a Beckman Panaplex display. Ha ha! FranLab, eat your heart out. Unless, of course, she's already beat me to it, so I'll change the exposure here. And, oh, look at that. Thing of beauty is joy forever. Look at that. Wow. Oh. So thank you very much, Unmanaged. That is just gorgeous. A Simpson panel meter with Beckman Panaplex display. Oh, it's just, I hope that my camera is color balanced, so I'm hoping that orange will come out. The camcorder screen doesn't look as orange as in real life, but trust me, that's beautiful. Mwah. Apparently these are called neon planar displays, and I found a UK website which specialises in these displays, so I'll link it in down below. And they've like documented all these things, and they have gorgeous photos, and they've got completed clocks with these things. It looks like they made them in all different shapes and sizes, and these were made by at least 3 different companies. These, I don't know if Panaplex was like a Beckman trademark or whatever, but yeah, it's interesting. There is a whole bunch of info out there on these. Anyway, these are gorgeous, are they not? Ah, wow, look at this. Thank you very much, Unmanaged, for sending this in. This is fantastic. Got another one from Australia. Thank you very much to Lightbox Engineering from Leonards Hill in Victoria. Hi to all my viewers in the inferior state of Victoria, of course. All those in Victoria will know what I'm talking about. Got a note and something weird looking. Whoa, it's done a self teardown. Another envelope. Okay, it's a flying saucer. Yeah, it's already torn itself down. What's in there? Oh, a couple of boards. Okay. It's a Rosemount tank radar. Oh, it's a transmitter. It's a radar transmitter. Interesting. Apparently, it's a 10 gig radar for measuring the level in a tank, like a giant industrial tank of whatever. Yeah, you sit it on the top of the tank, and it's a tank level sensor for, gigantic fuel tanks or something. But apparently this envelope contains his best guess at how this sucker works, because I'm no radar person, so I might have to cheat. So Lightbox Engineering actually do RF and antenna design and related services in Victoria. So if you're after that, give them a shout. So yeah, it looks like for a typical setup. So this one has an aluminium dome on it. We've got a O-ring, and yeah, it could obviously penetrate this. Emerson Process Management Rosemont Tank Radar. Sweden, is it? There you go. Anyway, there's a whole bunch, like a big potted block there with a whole bunch of interconnects. Why do they need that many? Why do they need all those terminal blocks? I don't get it. Oh, okay, that terminal block's just on the outside, so it's taken the cable. So you can either have the cable coming out direct, or you can have this optional terminal block thing, and then you can wire them all in. But 2-board solution, let's take it off. Well, there you have it. We've got some control stuff on the top here, and 80 and Intel. Got an Intel processor up there, and well, we don't really care much about this driver board here, do we? No, not that important, but yeah, all the magic happens down here. So this is the transmit receive module here, and it looks like it goes right angle through whatever coupling mechanism that is. I don't know what sort of antenna would be in there. I've got no idea. Is that the... No, yeah, that's the receive... Okay, that's the feedback. Looks like it's got a feedback signal coming here, and the intermediate frequencies here, and modulation on there, power, ground, yeah, and that's it. There you go. There's inside that RF block there. We've got some microwave magic happening there, and this may not... I thought this might have been feedback, but it may or may not be. So RFA and RFB. I don't think that's like receiver feedback. I think that's just a separate RF input there. So they're using that to like modulate the output, to make sure the output power is modulated at the correct level. Not modulated, that's probably not the that's set at the correct level, I guess. I don't know. Here you go. Possible theory of operation. If you think this is correct, please confirm in the comments down below. Coax to circular waveguide transition in antenna, transmit receive module, known length coaxial transmission line. Oh, okay. That's what that extra yellow coax was for. Transmit receive module further broken down in the following blocks. The VCO, of course. Buffer amp. Top gold block in the right corner there. There you go. And a 2-stage Wilkinson power splitter. 2 stages get you a bit more bandwidth. 2 symmetrical quadrature hybrid couplers configured as mixers, port A and port B, several attenuator pads, yeah, of course. Oh, okay, right, that makes sense now. Known length coax line, 6 meters, measured at 6.5 meters, because I can't get the rest of the thing apart. And they're using that as a reference to know the, like, so they can get like an absolute height out of this thing. So, yeah. That's interesting. Spec the unit works by counting the number of impedance nulls at the IF-AB outputs while sweeping the VCO. Okay. Since the transmission line length at RFB is known, yes, the fluid level RFA can be fairly easily computed. This works because a quarter wave transmission line is an impedance transformer. Yes, converting an open circuit to short, that means every time the electrical length of the transmission line ends with the remainder equal to a quarter wavelength. The line looks like a short circuit, and it will at multiple, partial wavelengths along. This factor is exploited to compute the fluid level to the known electrical length coaxial cable that's coiled up inside the unit. Circular waveguide has a diameter of approximately 22 millimeters, applying an operating range of around 9.5 to 12 gig, and corresponding to a wavelength in millimeters. Electrical length and transmission line could be accurately measured on network analyzer instead of just guessed it physically about 4.5 meters. Assuming it's solid coax with 70% velocity factor, etc. That's how he got the 6.5 meters. Because I can't get this thing apart, because you've got to like somehow take out all of this block before you can get this board out, before you can look at what's on the bottom. So I won't go that far. And then just goes through some calculations there, and so we should get about 54 nulls for this example. So his example works out pretty close. Oh, sorry, I'm not underexposing the page here. The resolution can probably be increased by measuring how far off the voltage IFA is from another null, as well as count. Well, there you go. That is interesting. If you concur with that analysis, and that sounds pretty good to me. So yeah, that is neat. Okay, so there's a right, yes, there's a plastic I didn't notice it before. There's a plastic former in there with the wrapped, all that coax is just wrapped around. So all that space under there, so there's nothing to see under there. It's just the coax like wrapped around. As he said, like 6.5 meters or something like that. Fascinating bit of RF engineering, is it not? All to measure the absolute tank level. Wow, neato. Thanks for sending that in. That is absolutely awesome. All right, this one's been taking up too much room on my floor. Didn't have room for it on the shelf. There's so much crap in the lab here. Yes, I am trying to clean up and getting there. I don't really know who it's from because I think it's gone through like a reshipper or whatever. It just says made in China on it, fragiles. So I don't know, it looks like feels like there's like multiple boxes in here. So I can safely slice through that. Some things are just better suited to like a little blade. This is one of them. Ooh, I know what this is. The company clued me up that they were sending me this. I didn't know it was so big and heavy. I thought it was one of those little, you know, janky little microscopes, but it looks pretty big. It's the Tomlov 4K digital microscope. So I guess this is the big heavy stand for it. Geez, let's check it out. I am looking for a replacement for my Tegano, a 4K replacement for the Tegano. I'm not sure this is in that sort of class, but geez, it's big. Let's go. Wow, check this out. This is actually quite the beast. They've given me two different stands here. One is this very nice, just like base thing with a nice big flexi stand here, which allows you to bring it in and out like that and across and around. A giant screen, what's that, 13, 12 inches or something? That's what she said. Anyway, please remove this protective film for you film aficionados. There you go. This is a 4K microscope. I'm liking the manual, by the way, which is all in English. There's the QR code and the support and everything else. Looks like all that on-screen menu setup stuff. The manual looks really comprehensive. So very impressed. Look at that. So I'm interested to check out the macro shots, one, and the zoom range, and B, the depth of field. Of course, but I'll put up the prices here, and presumably you don't get both stands. You can order it with one or the other, but they've sent in both to showcase what they've got here. So yeah, this is like a mid-range digital, 4K digital microscope. It doesn't seem to be one of the real top shelf ones, but it doesn't look like one of the, you know, $100 or $200 cheapies, that's for sure. So, whoa. Anyway, I'm liking the feel of that. That's really neat. The only problem is if you don't lock it in place with the grub screws here, then you can't press the buttons because it'll just move all over the shop. But I guess, you know, the whole idea is just set it up to exactly where you want it based on your desk and everything. And they've got the desk mount over here for this one, which is really quite nice, and the extension arm here. And yeah, the whole idea is that you set it up into the exact position you want and then just lock it all in place. And then I'm not sure if these ring lights come with it. There is like a little ring light underneath. I'll show you up close in a minute, but we've got two different ring lights here, so I'm not sure what the difference is. That one's a mains one, so I assume that's going to have a brighter output than just this USB one. And it does have a USB power output on the back, so you can power the ring light directly from there. That's groovy. And apparently it's rechargeable. So yeah, anyway, I think it might have a battery in it too. That's what it mentioned. Crucially, we do have a HDMI out, which allows me to capture, but there's a micro SD card slot too. So I wonder if you can capture video. I don't know if there's a microphone in it to do any sort of like voiceover. That'd be cool. But yeah, we got some preset touch buttons down here, autofocus, but you do get a remote control with it as well. There you go, video recording, snapshot. Let's give it a whirl. So there's the camera up close. It really is. It has a long lens-in system in there, so I'm curious to know what the zoom range is. There you go. It does have a built-in ring light, but you're obviously not going to, like, that'll be for like really close-up macro stuff, whereas you can get the bigger ring light for you know, larger objects at greater distances, and these don't. They're just capacitive touch buttons, I believe. Yeah, it's looking pretty schmick so far, but yeah, let's try it out. All right, let's do some basic testing here of this Tomlov 4K max unit. Now, I'm only capturing 1080p because this video is only going to be 1080p. Sorry, but this is capable of 4K 30p. So, yeah, just imagine same image quality, but in 4K. And I'm recording this through my Blackmagic A10 switcher. Now, I'm in the same lighting conditions that I normally do my Teardown microscope stuff with, so I'm familiar with the lighting levels. And let me actually do a comparison. I've got absolute minimum lab lighting here at the moment. In fact, I've got precisely what you're looking at the moment, barely 300 lux. So yeah, it's not much at all. Very low lighting here. But I just wanted to show you that this thing basically it doesn't appear to have any noise at low light levels. So, and this is at a working distance of about 120 millimeters. You can actually see this here if I do my B cam, and that's on my Sony 1-inch sensor there. So I'm working at about 120 millimeters depth here, and you can see it's a bit soft, but I'm not seeing noise on there. Now, if we compare that to my Teardown, let's move it over here. Switch on the Teardown. This is the Teardown at the same zoom level, and you can actually see, you can see the noise in the image. You can see those little shimmering noise things. So noise-wise, it's pretty good. Even though it's given a little bit of a softer image, it looks great on the screen here. So let me turn the rest of my lights on, and as you can see, yeah, we're doing better now. And I can even switch the Teardown's internal light on, and our noise has basically disappeared. So we can go back over to the Tomlov here, and you can see that it's not too bad at all. It's pretty fast updating on the screen, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I've got it on auto focus in at the moment. Now, it does actually, I'll show you this, it does take time to focus hunt. So if I press the autofocus button, it comes in, out, and it does it twice, boom, like that, and it locks in. But it should mean that we can actually get autofocus in like that. Yep, no worries, all right. And you've got to remember, this is at 120 millimeters depth, so not too shabby at all. And I can lower this and essentially zoom in. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't have electronic zoom. You've got to manually zoom it with the adjustment here, which means the working distance just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And if you want to inspect there, you can see there's no depth of field adjustments. So you can see that first pin there is in focus, but the rear one isn't. So it doesn't have a big depth of field. So if you're looking at like components on an angle, it's not the best thing. But I actually think the image looks really sharp and very nice. I rather like it. And that's not with the side light on here. But you can really see how close I am to the work there now. So, you know, I'm like 50 millimeters, something like that. So, you know, it's going to be a bit harder to get your soldering iron in to an area like that. And they're 0603 parts there, so yeah, you have to get reasonably close. I mean, it doesn't have a big zoom range, unfortunately. So, but still, I'm very happy with the image quality, and I'm sure it's going to look really sharp in 4K as well. Now, the screen here in front is unfortunately only 1280 by 800, but it really looks sharp. You can see a ton of detail. But the problem is that when I'm working on a reasonable distance here, and really, with my glasses, unfortunately, I can't focus that close. So even though it looks great, it is technically out of focus for me. So if you can't focus, like, you know, I'm working at a probably, so this would probably be the maximum depth that you'd work at with the internal screen, and I'm 35 centimeters away, maybe, you know, 350 to 400 millimeters away. So if you wear glasses and you can't focus that close, then yeah, unfortunately, the screen is coupled to the microscope shaft itself. So, of course, I'm using an external monitor at the moment. You can use an external monitor. I prefer to use, that's why I've got this monitor over here. When I'm doing my microscope stuff, I look at this monitor over here, and that's like the perfect distance for me. So, yeah, you've got to have good eyesight to be able to use the internal screen. But even though it doesn't have even full HD resolution, the screen actually looks really nice. Latency-wise, it does seem pretty good. So, yeah, it'll be decent for soldering, even though I'm not going to try it. Now, even though it has an internal ring light, I haven't been able to find a way to turn it on. Even going through the internal menu in this thing, I have not found it yet. And the menu, I've got it up here at the moment, doesn't show up on the external HDMI feed. And you're either going to go, fantastic, or you're going to go, oh, I would have preferred that. Personally, I'd err on the side of, yeah, great. I don't want crap. I just want my image out of my HDMI. Thank you very much. As far as the menu system goes here, you can see we've got playback, and then we've got settings like that, image brightness, auto exposure, if you want to lock an exposure. I would have liked to have had manual exposure because I use on my Teardown microscope, I actually use exposure quite a lot, but for general use, it's not too shabby. Autofocus window, I've got average at the moment. By default, it was set to point, and you can set the location of the point, but unless you really got like some fixed requirements, you would probably set it to average and be done with it and just hope it works, and then wiggle the thing around in view when you actually want it to work. And then it's set to 4K P30 at the moment, but you can set it 1080p 60 if you want, if you're only capturing or your external monitor's not 4K. And LCD brightness is plenty. Even at half brightness there, auto off. And it's got a few other shortcut things and stuff like that. I haven't tried the presets yet, but it does have 2 preset buttons down here. So, yeah. So as I said, if you turn this little ring light on here, then you can move that around. But this is the external ring light. Now it slides over the unit. Oh, no, we've got to power off. It does have a build. I've been operating all this time from the build. No, it says I've still got half a battery, so maybe that was some sort of auto time off there. So the external ring light, not sure if it actually comes. Well, no, power off again. Huh? So yeah, the autofocus, like if we want to autofocus on something like that, I can just hit the manual focus button though, and I can just manually like that. So, you know, if you have stuff tilted like that, and then you wanted to go down to focus on that, you can, no worries. See, that's a good example of the depth of field there on that capacitor. Like, we just can't, oh no, you can almost get that capacitor almost entirely in depth of field. Not quite, not quite. But that's okay, I wouldn't expect it for this price of microscope at all. So, yeah, but unfortunately, like the autofocus is a bit dicky. It takes a bit of time. The autofocus does work, like it just kicked in there, but now it's hunting again, right? So it's like, so if you're autofocusing like something like that, it might lock in, maybe, yeah, no, right? So it's a little bit off, and then you try and get that joint down there. Takes a bit of time, but it does lock in. But yeah, the autofocusing is not the absolute best on this thing. So you wouldn't be writing home to your mum about the autofocusing. And let's try a Raspberry Pi Pico here. Now apparently it has a maximum range of 210 millimeters, so I'm gonna have to put it all the way up here like this. And yeah, that's almost 210. Yep, there we go. So that's 210 millimeters. So that's a Raspberry Pi Pico. So, hi. Yeah, like if you want the whole board in the shot, this is not, you know, it just doesn't have the, it's designed, this is a microscope, it's not designed for like, you know, really wide angle stuff. Whereas, you know, I mean, it absolutely, like I shouldn't even compare the two, right? But my Teardown microscope, right, can zoom right out like that, right? I can do large boards and then I can go right in, but you're talking about a multi-$1,000 microscope in comparison to what a $300-400 Tomlov here, and you can get this in different versions as well. So if I keep that at its maximum working distance and then I adjust down like this, I haven't tightened up any of the grub screws or anything at the moment, so, and that's as far as we can go in with, and that's as far down as I can get without me having to manually adjust the backside screw up here and move the whole thing down. So if you're just using the nicer adjustment screws here, so yeah, it doesn't have the greatest range, but like I'm pretty happy with the image quality, but I think that the autofocus leaves a bit to be desired. And the video capability, I'll try it now. So we can actually capture images here. So it's saying capture it. It does the focus hunting thing before it captures. Now you may or may not like that. I don't know if you can change that, but I'm going to try the video. Whoop, point at it. Video recording. We are video recording. Oh yeah, yep. It's telling me it's got a little timer up on the screen. Sorry you can't see that. But I will tell you by getting this card back, if it has a microphone built in, I doubt it. that would have been nice. But of course, I've got other solutions for that. And likely if you're doing any decent video recording, you'll also have an audio solution available. But you can record video to an SD card, so that is handy. Now there's what looks like some 0201 components on this Raspberry Pi here, and still, like, if you want to solder, you could use this magnification to do those, and it's better than eyesight, by the way, but it's not as good as a really like higher powered lens things. Now it can focus down to 2 centimeters, I think, but we're already down to like 50 millimeters, and really that's as close as you want to get, like in terms of like getting your soldering iron and stuff in. So really, like, you can get lower, and we can inspect lower. I'll show you. So there you go, we can actually get closer, and you can have a look there. So we can get closer to those parts, but I'm down to 40 millimeters now, and we can probably get a bit closer on those, can we? Yeah, you can see it there. But no, I can't recommend it for like really small stuff, because you just have to get so close on this thing that it's just crazy. And I don't know the deal with the internal light. Oh, it's popped off again. I don't know why they have the battery internal. It's kind of cute, I guess, but no, like, I'm powering it externally at the moment. Maybe I didn't use the included charger because it wasn't the Aussie one. Yeah, I don't know. It just keeps mucking around and turning off and stuff. No, low battery again. Oh, God. Sorry about the overlay on this B camera here, but yeah. So what do I think about this Tomlov 4K AF Max, which is the autofocus model? It's a 10.1 inch screen. You can actually get smaller versions of this for like $200 or even less or something, which I might have the exact same optics and stuff in it. Well, at first I thought it looks really good. Like the image quality actually looks really good, and the updating is really nice, but the autofocusing, leaves a bit to be desired. And I would have liked to have seen, of course, power focus on this thing, but of course you've got to focus it by manually adjusting it up and down. It does have a great working distance, so if you're after a decent work distance and you don't want to work on like really small stuff, it's probably just got enough working distance here to work on, say, 0201 components. But if you really want to get in there, you're going to need a better solution. But offhand, for this mailbag, I'm not going to do extensive research on other current models on the market, but for $310 US, which I think this one goes for, it's kind of, it is better. It is better than the other ones I've used with these built-in LCDs. I like the large screen, so if you can sit 30, 40 centimeters away from this and your eyes can focus on this screen, it is a really nice screen. Even though it's not even full HD, let alone 4K, it is still very nice. When I first turned it on, I went, wow, like, the image quality is like very nice. It's noise free, works in low light conditions. I'm very, very happy with it, like in terms of the screen on the thing. But personally, I'd rather put the money into like something that's just like this, that uses a dedicated screen. I've done a video on this one, and then you can like fit your own optics, and you can have like a zoom adjust, like a actual proper analog zoom adjust, instead of actually moving the whole thing up and down to adjust your focus. So, but still, it's probably quite reasonable, and the image quality seems quite decent, and it is going to give you a reasonably cheap 4K solution. So my verdict's kind of out on this one. I would have to use it more extensively and compare it with other ones on the market. So as always, your mileage may vary. Everyone's requirements are quite different. I have my own specific requirements for doing the video work I do and stuff like that. But you know, if you want a 4K microscope and you're happy with it, like a 10-inch screen, that's really good quality, I don't know, it's probably worth looking at. And the stand on it is actually quite flexible, but of course you'll have to lock it in place. Otherwise, yeah, it's just going to like hunt all over the place. So, but anyway, my first impressions is that it's not too bad. The image quality is what it's all about ultimately, and it's pretty decent. And it does have a large working distance. And but for the small parts, well, you can probably you can just still get in there, for example. So I would have liked more working distance at those higher zoom levels. But anyway, it's worth taking a look at. Thank you very much, Tomlov. I'll link it in down below.